Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to MATH2301 for term 1, 2022. And I'm a lecturer in charge for the course. So my name is Quốc Thống Lê Giá, and I will lectures from week 1 to week 5. And Associate Professor William McLean will take over from week 7 to week 10. Okay. So the assessment of the course. So you will see that, well, because we still have COVID, so everything will be done online. But there's a major online test in week 5. So it will be on Maple TA. Well, actually the new name is Mobius, but you know, it's very similar to Maple TA. So it will be at the end of week 5, and it will be done online. So it will be about the theory. And then during the term, you will see that we have 2 assignments and 1 lab test. So all of those 3 will be done on Matlab Grader. So Matlab Grader, by now you should have received an email, invitation email from Matlab Grader to join. And you know, over there you can see there is assignment 0, 1, and 2 there. So I will show you in a minute. And then the lab test will be done on Matlab Grader as well. Okay. And then there is a group project. So group project, you can choose 1, 2, or 3 members to do the group project. So it will be a programming exercise in Matlab. Okay. And then at the end of the term, there will be a final exam. So it will be submitted online as well, because we don't expect COVID will get better by May. So everything is clear, right? So any question about the structure of the assessment, you can put in the chat box if you have question. So far, so good. Yeah, question. So now I will show you. So this is the schedule of the course. Roughly, we will follow this. Okay, so you can read it from Moodle. So this is the Moodle page for the course. So by now, you should be able to get access to the Moodle page. And so I will put all the announcement here. And there's a link to Maple TA or Mobius here. And then, so there's a link to the lectures online, the labs online, the tutorials online. So we have 2 face-to-face labs. It's up to you, okay? You can go to the online, or you can go to the face-to-face labs. And similarly, we have 2 tutorials. One is online and one is face-to-face. So it's up to you. You can choose to attend either one of them. And there is no attendance record, so you don't have to tell me, oh, I cannot come to the tutorial. I mean, it's up to you, okay? But everything will be recorded. So now so any questions? So at least please check the Moodle page at least once you know, in 2 days, you know, because I will post an announcement there maybe once a day. Yeah. So on the lectures, so the lecture notes will be here. So topic 1 to topic 7, you click on it. Okay, you see the chapter 1, and you can download all of them. You know, it will be like a 150 pages book. And from time to time, I'm going to use some interactive Google documents. So what is the difference between the content and the tutorials and the lab? It's a very good question. So in the tutorial, the question will be more about the theory, okay? I mean, you can have a look in the tutorials. The theory is more about the theory. And in the lab, the question is more about the programming language, okay? So it will be about MATLAB, yeah? So any other question? Okay, so the MATLAB grader. So now I can show you the question. Online labs and online tutorials are recorded as well. So after the labs and after the tutorials, I will post the recording, okay? So everything can be done online, okay? So we have to adapt to COVID. So who knows how long COVID will be, so. Okay, so now about MATLAB grader. So by now, you have received an email, okay, ask you to join MATLAB grader. And MATLAB grader is, you know, will take you, I mean, if you cannot access to this page, then maybe you haven't created an account on MathWork, okay? So you can do it for free. And after that, you have to go back to the invitation email and you click on the link inside the email and it will show you this page, okay? So you will see that there is assignment 0, 1, and 2. Assignment 1 and 2 will be released later and it will be 1.5% each. But assignment 0 is just for you to practice on MATLAB and to practice MATLAB grader, okay? So assignment 0, so suppose, and then this one, there's unlimited attempt you can do, you can just play around. So suppose I click on this one, so my first script problem, okay? So now, how do I use this? So now let me suppose I click on this. Now there's I have to go back. So my first script problem, yeah. And I think there is a link for you to type in the commands, okay? So one second. So where is the link? Here. So there's a learner preview here. Okay, so what you see is something like this. So you see the problem, yeah? And then you see the question. So the question asks you to write a script to compute the volume of a cone, okay? The radius r and the height is h. And then you have to assign the results into a variable named VLL, okay? So now the script is like this. So it gives you, I mean, it could be empty. It could give you some partial commands, okay? So suppose this one, they just gave you two lines. The first line said, what is the value of R and what is the value of H, okay? And then you just type in the command to compute volume. Okay, so now remember you have to you can type in the MATLAB command here. So volume here, yeah. So suppose I just type R times H, okay. Then I can run the script. Yeah, so it will contact the MATLAB server and run the script. Well, with the output, because if I put a semicolon here, then there's no output. But if I don't put a semicolon here, then it will give me the output. Okay, so the output is 60. But now, whether my formula is correct or not, well, I click submit. Well, I say that no, the test failed. I mean, 0 of 1 test passes means that failed, yeah. And then it means that the volume has an incorrect value. Okay. So now I go back and I change it. Yeah. So now I have to be serious. So I take the correct formula. So I just take pi multiplied by r square multiplied by h over 3. Yeah. Then I run the script. Okay, so the volume now is 314.1593. Yeah, and then I submit. Okay, so now the answer is correct. Okay, so you can use this to learn MATLAB interactively. Yeah, so it's very useful if you haven't seen MATLAB before. But for some of you who have seen MATLAB already, then so what is the question? Can you generate an output with a semicolon? Yes, you can do it. Yes, so there's a print function in MATLAB. Yes, so you can, you know, if you want to play with the print function, yeah. So there's a print. I think there is a print F command or something like that. I forgot, but something like volume. Okay, so how about MATLAB? How you download MATLAB? Let me finish this one first, and then I will go back to that question. Yeah. Okay, so now if I run this, see. So undefined the function f. I think should be f print f. Okay, so f print f is the command that can print out the volume. Okay, so now go back to the question where you download MATLAB. So if I question. So now if I go back to the Moodle page, I will show you where to download MATLAB for free. Okay. So now if you go down, so you can see my Moodle page. Yeah. So if you go down to MATLAB resources, so there is a download in MATLAB free for UNSW student. Okay, so you click on this one, and there's a link, and you have to go through this, and it will show you how to download the MATLAB for free. You just enter your Z number. Okay. So any other question? So now maybe let me start the lectures. Yeah. And so I have to stop sharing this. Let me share the lecture slide. Okay, so what is MATLAB? So if you haven't seen it before, so how many of you have seen MATLAB already? Well, you cannot raise your hand here, yeah. So I can set up a survey. So maybe later I will. But assume that you haven't seen MATLAB before, okay? Then this first lectures will show you a very quick introduction about MATLAB. Yeah, so now this is the, let me show you the video from the company itself. So it will advertise what MATLAB is. So let me click on it and let it play. So let me share the video. Okay, so now let me play the video. I think it's very short.
Millions of engineers and scientists use MATLAB to analyze the data, develop the algorithms, and create the systems that shape the world around us. At the heart of MATLAB is a high-level programming language that lets engineers and scientists express matrix and array mathematics directly. MATLAB provides a vast library of toolboxes that spans everything from signal and image processing, control systems, wireless communications, and computational finance, to robotics, deep learning and AI, and more. Created specifically for engineers and scientists, MATLAB is designed for the way you think. Easy to learn and use, it lets you express your ideas directly and puts the tools you need at your fingertips. Explore ideas quickly. See results and visualizations right next to the code that produced them. And only MATLAB includes pre-built apps and allows you to easily build your own, for when point and click is the best way to analyze and design. Extend MATLAB with thousands of packages and toolboxes shared on GitHub and elsewhere. Then deploy your work on cloud and enterprise systems, into Simulink, or automatically generate code that runs on embedded devices. From researching the world around us to creating next-generation intelligent systems, millions of engineers and scientists use MATLAB to shape the future. What will you do with MATLAB?
Okay, so what will you do with MATLAB? Okay, so now we go back to the lectures. Let me go back to the lectures, yeah. So before we do anything fancy, let's have a look at what is at the core, what is a MATLAB? So we see that, you know, MATLAB has, you know, I mean, has a programming language inside it. Okay, so and there is, you know, like for programming language, then you need a data, and you need variables, and you need control. Yeah. So there's a question about group assignment. Does one group member mean that you can complete assignment by yourself? Yes, yes. Because, you know, like my experience are that some people find the assignment, the group assignment is very easy. They can complete on their own. But then some other students say that they want a group of 2 or 3 person or 4 persons. So it's up to you, okay? So I let you choose on that when I release the group assignment. And then the slides are on Moodle. Yes, I will upload the slides on Moodle after the lectures, but because I want you to read the lecture notes before I post the slides, okay? The slides is just a summary of the lecture notes. Okay, so any other questions? Okay, so now go back to the structure, yeah? So MATLAB has all the fundamental data type, yeah? Is it possible to post them before the lectures? Yeah, I can do that. I can do that for the next lectures, yes? Easy. Okay, so now question is MATLAB using C or other programming language? Well, see, underneath the hood, MATLAB was written in C or C++, okay? And you can compile MATLAB into C or C++, but that is for advanced programmer. Yeah, but for us, I mean, if you haven't seen any programming language, see, the problem is, you know, some people come from computer science, they will see that MATLAB is very easy for them. But we have some other students who just come directly from science or from mathematics. They have never seen any programming language before. And then MATLAB is very easy to use. But from time to time, I will show you there's a difference between C or MATLAB, because like in C, you have to declare variables. You have to allocate the memory, okay, before you can use it. But in MATLAB, you don't have to do it. It takes care of that automatically for you. Okay, so you don't have to declare the variables. You don't have to declare the memories. Yeah. So that makes it very easy to use. But the drawback is it will take more memory. Okay. So does it answer your question? Andrew. Okay, so now go back to the fundamental data type. Okay, so it can has integers, real numbers. So it can has matrices, characters or character strings, structures, cells. Okay, so and the real numbers are supposed to be double precision. So we will talk about single precision and double precision in chapter 2 in more details. Okay. And then there is a vectors and there's arrays, and we don't have to declare the dimension. So again, so in C or in other language, you have to declare the dimension for vectors or arrays. Okay, so but in MATLAB you don't have to. It will take care of it automatically. And then variable names are case sensitive. So if you write little x or capital X, it will be different. Okay. And then you can save, you can load the files, you can read, you can write the files as other language. Okay, so now, you know, you can use MATLAB interactively by typing the commands in the command windows, or you can, you know, write it in a collection of commands called a script. So maybe let me share my MATLAB screen, so then I will explain a bit more. Yeah, so let me share my MATLAB screen. Okay, so when you hit the MATLAB icon, okay, it takes 1 or 2 minutes, and it will start loading the interface look like this. Yeah. So the middle command, we call it command windows. Sorry, the middle windows. Yeah, we call it command windows. So here you can type in commands. So suppose you can type in like 1 plus 2 plus 3. Okay, so just a simple calculation like this. Or you can set x to be 1. Okay, so this is like you set the variable x to be 1, so you don't have to declare the variable x. Yeah. And then you can say, what is x plus 1? Okay, so x plus 1 is just equal 2. And you can set v as a vector. So this is column vectors. Okay, so you don't have to declare v, right? You just say that I want v to be a column vectors. Or you can set v to be a row vectors. So it's a row vectors. Okay. Or you can set a matrix. So matrix will be 1, 2, 3. So for the first row, 4, 5, 6 to be second row. So you see the entries, each of them are separate by a blank. Okay. And then the row separate by a semicolon. Okay. So 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, and then close bracket, and you got a matrix A like this. Okay. And now you can have, you know, like some built-in function in MATLAB as well. You know, so I suppose you want sum up all the elements, you know, like say 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And it will take the sum of those vectors. Okay. Okay, but now if suppose you want to write many commands, yeah, then we have to put it in a script. Otherwise, you might get lost, and maybe you can clear all the memory as well. So clear. So this one is in the workspace. You see the variables here, and if I clear, then there's no more. Right before you have x. Sorry, no, it's not recognized. But suppose you write x equal 1. And you see that x appear in the workspace. Okay. Okay, but now suppose I want a collection of commands, then I will put them in a script. So I click on this icon. So this is a new script. Okay. So what script I should write? So suppose I want to write, I want to compute the rectangle, I mean the area of a rectangle. Okay. So I save it as a name. So I save, yeah. And then it asks me to save what name. So the name of the script should be, like some name you want to put in. So the percent, yes, the percentage is a comment, yes. So suppose I put in area rectangle, right? Something like this. Okay, so then I say that, well, I just input the width of the rectangle, yeah. So width. So you will have a look into the lecture notes, and you see that there's a lot of example there. So, but essentially here, it will ask for the user to enter the value. Okay, what is the width? And then B, it will ask the user to enter the value, say what is the length. Okay. And then you say that the area now is just A times B. Yeah. And then you print out the value. So fprintf is a command that print out the area, print out anything. Okay, so it can print out a string, it can print out a number, or it can print out. So fprintf, actually, if you know C, then it's very similar to the command in C. Okay, so the area of the rectangle, which is a floating number, and that's it. Okay, so now you have a script. So you have a script of 4 commands, and you run it. So you hit this run button. Okay, so the width is 10, the length is, say, 2. So the area of the rectangle just 20. Okay, so that is how you write a script in MATLAB. Okay, so now go back to the question. Okay, so what does %f mean in the string? Okay, so if you want to print out the area, okay, at a floating number, then you have to give a format, and %f just means that print out as a floating number. Okay, so you can learn about this command a bit more if you type help fprintf. Yeah, and you see that they have a lot of example, but the format will be given here. So the format is see, suppose here, like you want two digits after the dot and 6 digits before the dot of a floating number, then you just put %6.2. Okay, so that is a different thing. So this \n is for a new line. So if you don't put this one in, okay, then you run it, then you see after printing this, it doesn't get into a new line. So you see the prompt is just right next to the last digits here. Okay, so this \n is just for you to get into a new line. Okay, so just you will look into the lecture notes, and you will see there's a lot of examples there. Okay, So any other question? Okay, so now let's go back to the slide. Yeah. So remember the script, you have to save it as something.m. Okay, so if you save it as something different extension, then MATLAB will not recognize it a script from MATLAB. Okay, just like if you write a C program, the extension has to be .c or .cc. Yeah? If you use C++. So if you want to execute the commands, okay, you can type the name at the prompt, or for me, I just hit the run button. So either way. So running the script is just equivalent to type all the commands. Yeah. So you can find out the password. I mean, sorry, you can find out the what directory the script is in by this command pwd. Okay. Okay, so now go back to the matrices and vectors. So like I had a example before. So I define a row vectors. Okay. Then every entries in a row vectors are separated by a space or by a comma. But if you want to define column vectors, then you have to put the entries separate by semicolons. Okay, or you can use a new line. And you know, like you don't have to declare the dimension of the array. Okay, or you don't have to declare the dimension of the matrix. So before I just set an array, I mean a vector is a one-dimensional array. Yeah, and I can set a matrix by just set a value directly. Okay, so now before going to the logical statement, let me go back to array and matrices a little bit. So now if I go back to this, yeah, so this is the command. Yeah, I clear everything here. So now remember, you know, I mean, I can have a matrix I like this. Okay, and I can have a vector v. Okay, is 1, say 5, 7, or like this. Okay, and I can take a matrix multiplied by a vector. So now you see that in MATLAB, it will multiply a matrix by a vector for you directly. So in C, you cannot do that. You have to put in a lot of commands to compute this matrix multiplied by a vector. Okay, so it can multiply two matrices directly as well. So now suppose I have matrix B to be say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can see that the two matrices can be multiplied directly in MATLAB. Okay, while it can addition, you can use two matrices, you can add them together, you can minus them together. Yeah. Okay. And there is some special commands, you know, like to say compute the determinant of a matrix. Okay. Yeah. And it can compute the eigenvalues of a matrix as well. So those things cannot be done in C directly. Okay. So MATLAB provide a lot of useful functions for you to do some operation on the vectors and on the matrix directly. Okay. Okay, so now go back to the slides. So unless you have any question. So can you do the row echelon form? Okay, so very, very good question. Yes, you can do a row reduce echelon form. So there's a command called row reduce form. Okay, so help RREF, so for row reduce row echelon form. Okay, and it can solve a linear system as well. Okay, so there's a question. If you use the online version, where to save our files? Okay, so this is a very good question. So everyone has a computer account on the university computers. So if you use the online version, then it's saved into that. Okay, and the your online account, you have to use your Z number to get into that, to get the files. Okay, it doesn't allow you to save into your laptop. I agree. Yes, you just cut and paste your commands. Yes, but then you can get into your university account anywhere you like if you use myfiles.unsw.edu.au. Okay. No, it correct me, but it's not correct. So there is a link. If you want to get the files, you have to go to this. Okay, so when you use the online version of MATLAB. So any other question? So, but I recommend you to download MATLAB into your laptop, and then you can run it easily on your laptop. Okay, so it takes some time to install it, but it's worth it. Yeah. So, okay, so go back to MATLAB. Okay, so it can solve a linear system. So before we have a matrix A. Okay, and we have a matrix V. So it can solve AX equal V by this command. Yeah. Okay, so X equal A backslash V, then this AX will equal V. Okay, so it can solve a linear system easily as well. So those things cannot be done quickly in C. Okay. Okay, so now go back to the slides. Yeah. So now, so remember I said that inside MATLAB we have a programming language, and a programming language you need only two components. One is the data type, okay, and another one is just a control statement. So control statement is just the if statement and the loops. Yeah. So the if statement, if you've seen other programming language, then it will be similar in MATLAB. So you have to put if, there's a logical statement here, and then there's a command, else if it doesn't satisfy the first condition, then you have to check the second condition, and then it will do something else, and so on. So then the last statement is if it doesn't satisfy any condition above, then it carry out the last statement. Okay. So then the next one is the loops. Okay. So the for loops is when you know how many times you have to repeat the commands. Yeah. Then you use a for loops. So n is a random variables. And you specify the number of iteration, capital N. Okay. And another one is the while loop. So the while loop is lecture slides will be uploaded on Moodle. Okay. Sorry, I haven't uploaded this lecture slides. Okay. So I will be posting the lecture slides after the lectures. Okay. So a while loop has the form, you have to give some expression, and then you have to give the commands. Yeah. So in this case, you don't know how many iterations you can have. So it's better to use a while loop. Okay. So maybe let me do one more example before we do this programming exercise. Yeah. So maybe go back to the MATLAB. So let me do one more example. Okay, so suppose I want to use the if else commands, yeah. So say suppose you have a marks, yeah. So the marks, suppose your marks, you enter the marks. So input the marks, yeah. And now if marks is greater than, or maybe greater or equal 85, okay. So everyone is happy, then you got the grade equal HD. Okay. So else if, okay. So the marks is greater than 75. Then the grade is a distinction. Okay. And else if the marks is greater than 65, then you got a credit. And else the marks is greater than, well, greater or equal 50, then you got a pass. Else, well, you know, I mean, you gotta fail, okay? So nobody want to do this. So nobody want this. But if you get marks less than 50, then you gotta fail. Then we put an N here. Okay, so now let me save this and say grades.m, so maybe grades, yeah. Okay, so now suppose I run, so okay, so there's two ways to run the script. You can hit the green button here, okay, or you can type in the name of the script without the M, so grades. So these are bad names, okay, so let's say that the name of the variable and the name of the files are the same. So now you should not do that. I should not do that. So I have to change this into, I have to save as a, not grades, but my grades, yeah. Okay, so now my, so now I say my grades. Okay, so I put my marks is say 74. Well, see, I forgot to print out the grades, yeah. So I have to put. So you can print out the grade like this. You just type in the name without semicolons, and then it will send, it will print out the values of the results there. Okay, so if I have 74, then I get credit. Okay. And I can run it again. So yeah, say 67. So what are the other way to run the script? So one way is you type in the name of the script, and another way you hit the run button here. Okay, so hit the run button on your on the in this bar, yeah. And then you can type in say 50, and then you get a pass, yeah. Okay. So any other question? Okay, so now we go back to the programming exercise. So now I will let you to work on it. So to make you feel awake. So now go back to this. So now suppose you want to compute, you know, the sum 1 quip plus 2 quip plus 3 quip plus 100 quip, okay, by Matlab. So how do you write a Matlab script to compute this sum? So can you do it? And if you got the results, then you type in the survey. So I have a survey here. So let me share the survey link. So if you go to Moodle page. Okay, so go to Moodle page. You go to the interactive documents. You see there's a simple sum. And there is a link here. Okay, so I assume that you have a script to compute the sum. Then you just type in the answer here. I mean, you just choose whatever is the correct answer. Okay. So some of you can use different language. It's up to you, but essentially you use, you know, Python, you can use Matlab, you can use C or whatever. But now, can you tell me what is the sum? So then I have to see what is the majority here. Well, this way, at least I let you to practice on the few commands of Matlab. Okay. And at least I know that you are still there. I mean, you are not just turn on the Zoom and go away and do something else. So how many people respond? Only one. You're still there? I have, let's see, 48 people. So you can use Matlab, you can use whatever language you can. Where's the poll? Okay, so you go to Moodle, yeah. Sorry, you go to Moodle and you go to interactive documents. I have to go back to this. So you see there's an interactive Google document, okay? And there is a simple sum. And you click on it, then you will see that. So can you get it? So anyone who do not see the survey? Is there a way to use Matlab without the Citrix receiver? You mean the online one? Right now, I mean, if you don't want to use the online one, you can download Matlab on your laptop. Then you don't have to use the Citrix receiver. Okay, so download the Matlab could be a bit lengthy. It's up to what download speed you have, but the files could be about 5 or 6 gigabytes. But if you go to the university, you download it very quickly, okay? And you install it on your device within half an hour. Or at least we have 10 responses, okay? So now, so we have a majority. So the majority seems to be the first choice. Oh, no, sorry, not the first choice, but the second choice. Okay, where's the survey again? Okay, the survey is inside interactive Google documents on Moodle. Okay, so if you go to Moodle page, okay, so there is a section called interactive Google documents. Okay, and you can see that okay, so now we seems that we have a majority. The majority say that the second choice is the correct one. So now can you show me the commands? Can anyone put in the command in the chat box? Can someone put in the command in the chat box to see how you get the results? It seems that the majority get the correct results. So any volunteer to put in a commands how you get the 1 or 2 lines? Okay, so some, yeah, that is a very good way to do it. Yes, very good way to do it. So any other way? Yes, you can use a while loop. Yes. Any other way? Or somebody knows the anonymous function already? Yes, you can do that. Yes. So there's a variety of, so somebody knows the anonymous function already. So essentially, okay, so now you can use a loops, okay, or you can use a single command. So now, you know, so let me show you on Matlab, you can do like this. So we can use a single line like this. So sum of a vector start from 1, yeah, and it ends at 100, okay, and every entry is inside the vectors from 1 to 100 you raise into 3, yeah, then it gives you the answer. Okay, only one line. Okay, I'm not sharing my screen. Okay, sorry. Okay, so you can use this single line command. Okay, sum of a vector from 1 to 100, and each element raised to power of 3. Okay, then you get the correct answer. So essentially, this is the power of Matlab. So Matlab allows you to vectorize the commands. So you see, instead of using the for loops or while loops, you can give a vectorized command like this. So let me explain, you know, like this command. So 1:5, okay, is it just gives you all the elements from 1 to 5. Okay, so if you write 1 to 100, it gives you everything from 1 to 100. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, if you say 1 to 5, and every element you raise to power of 2, you squared, then just give you, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. Or you can equip. Okay. So then it gives you the vectors, from 1 to 100. Everything raised to 3, and you sum it up, and you got the answer. Okay, so it seems that some of you have seen Matlab already. Okay, but some of you haven't seen it. So at least have a class will be very comfortable with Matlab. Okay, and now, okay, and now you want to have a break for 5 minutes, or you want to carry on the lectures? Can you run select lines on Matlab? Yes, you can run select lines on Matlab. Yes, that is a very good question. I think you have to put in something like this. You put in double percent, and you say you run section. Okay, so I'd run only that section. Okay, so that is if you have a long program and you want to run a section. Okay, anonymous function will be the topic of the next lectures. So now everyone, do you want a 5 minutes break or you want to carry on the lectures to say 150? I'm sorry, 250. What is your choice? Okay, 5 minutes break. Okay. So break. Okay, so break 5 minutes and we start again at 2 o'clock. Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, I think we have some people want a break, some people want to carry on, but let's take a break, okay, for your health. Okay, so take 5 minutes break and then we go back at 2 o'clock. Okay, so we've done this example, right? So you wrote a script. There's many ways to do this. You can use a for loops, you can use a while loops, you can use a sum commands, and everyone seems to get the correct answer. Okay, so now the next topic is about functions. Okay, so in Matlab, you have many functions. So functions can be built-in functions. So Matlab has a lot of built-in functions. You can use help command to see all the available function you can have. Okay, so function can have like scalar inputs, can has a vector input, that has a input as a matrix. So let me give some example. So suppose I have suppose I have say square root of 4. Okay, so just take in a single number, right? Computer square, but square can take in a vector as well. So if you take square of 4, 16, 36, 81, and then it gives you the square root, not square, but square root, yeah, square root of 4, yeah. So square root of 4 is 2, but if you take square root of the vectors 4, 16, 36, 81, then it gives you 2, 4, 6, 9, okay? Or, I mean, you can have a matrix as an input. So remember, I have a determinant of a matrix. So we should define a matrix, say A equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 7. Okay. And it can compute the determinant of a matrix. So if you remember first year algebra, then determinant of a matrix, I mean, could be a bit tricky to compute, yeah, or even the eigenvectors, eigenvalue. So determinant, remember, you have either you use a formula or you have to reduce to a row echelon form and you multiply on the diagonal elements. But Matlab can do it for you easily, yeah. Or you can find the eigenvalues of matrix. Okay, you can find the eigenvalue and eigenvectors of the matrix as well. Okay, so the eigenvectors are given in this matrix V, and the eigenvalues are given in this diagonal matrix. Yeah, and you can say help EIG, then you can have all the information about the eigenfunction. Compute the eigenvalues, eigenvectors. And you can say help elementary function. Okay, so then it gives you on the well, what is the correct command? EL fund, yeah. So EL fund. So then it will show you on the EL fund. It helps you on the elementary function you can have. Okay. So you see, you can have trigonometric function, right? Exponential function, complex number, rounding, and so on. Okay. And now the next one is, you can define a function for your own. Yeah. So now you can define your own function. So now let me give example. So remember here, you can say new, right? And instead of a new script, you say that new function. Click on this one. Then you see there is a template for you, okay? So that a user-defined function, yeah, it can have the name, it has an input arguments. Yeah, input arguments can have 1 or 2 or 3 or many, okay? Then there's output arguments, okay? And then, you give the commands how you want to compute the output based on the input. So remember we did the migrate before, right? So now let me do it again, but as a function. So migrate, but as a function, yeah. Okay. And now the input is just a marks. Okay, and the output is the grade, right? So I just put R is for grades, yeah. Maybe I can put in grades, yeah. Okay, so now I can put in some explanation. So compute the grades based on the marks, yeah. And then, so remember we did this before as a script. So now let me cut and paste the whole thing here into the function. Okay. Well, there's an extra n, so I don't need. Or maybe it's okay. I think this n is for the function. So this n is for the if. Okay, so marks is the input, grade is the output. Okay. Now I have to save it. Now remember, now you have to save, and MATLAB suggests that you have to save exactly as the name of the function. Okay, so if you save, then MATLAB suggests the name should be identical to the name of the function, not m. Okay, so now remember the script, you can call it by just typing the name. But for the grades, if you want to use it, you have to type in the name and you have to put in the input variables. Yeah, so you have to put in, say, 49, for example. So the grade is failed, so the output is failed, right? Or you put in input is 99, you get HD. Okay. So remember, you cannot put in an empty like this. It will ask you what are the input, not input arguments. So it report errors. Okay. So in order to use the function that you define, then you have to give the correct input. Okay. And if you type in help my grades fund, then it gives whatever you describe in the first, in the lines that under the percent signs. Okay, so under the percent sign, you just say whatever the description you want to put out for this function. Okay. Okay, so now we have to do an exercise. Yeah. So now, so let me show you the slide, and then we do another exercise. Yeah. So okay, the function has a general name like this. I mean, general template like this. A function name, input 1, input 2, and so on. And output 1, output 2, and so on. And then some comments describing the function, and then some commands. Okay. Okay, so now you can write a MATLAB function defined in the following piecewise continuous function. Yeah. So let me show you. I have written this already. Yeah, but now we can try it again. I can show you quickly how we define this. Okay, so I have defined this already. So now, so this way, there's a you see this one, you take in x is a vector. Okay, not a single number, but it's a vector. Okay, and then you find out on the index of the vector x that satisfies this command. Okay, which means that on the elements that, you know, that less than, I mean, sorry, greater than -2 and less than 0. Yeah, and then you define it to be x plus 1 square over 4. Okay, and then for another range, if x is between 0 and 3, so this command allows you to find the indices of all the elements of the vector x that satisfy this condition, and then you set it equal 3 minus x over 3 according to this formula. And outside this range, and everything just equals 0. Okay. Okay, so now maybe we do another exercise. So now the Fibonacci number. So now hopefully you have seen this. The function does not need the n. Good point. I think function you don't have. Let me go back to that example. Yeah. I think this, the function, if you put in n or you don't put in n, I think it's okay. I think if you say, let me try to run it first before I answer you. Okay, so now suppose I put in x is, say, from 0, or maybe not from 0, but from -1. Not shown my screen, sorry. Thank you. Okay, so suppose I don't put the n at the end of the function. Yeah, so suppose I put x to be 0, sorry, -1, increase by 0.1, n at 5. Okay, so this is my vector x. I put in piecewise 1 of x. Yeah, so it doesn't need the n. Okay, So you can put n here if you want to, but I think a function it doesn't need an n. You know, I think MATLAB is a bit inconsistent about this, but you can put an n of the function, but sometimes you don't have to. It's still okay. Okay, it doesn't report the errors. Strictly speaking, you should put an n. You know, but in MATLAB sometimes it has something a bit not very precise. Okay. Strictly speaking, you should put an n at the end of the function. Okay. So return 0 y. What does it mean? Y. How do I know x is a vector? Well, because that's how I define it. X I define like this. Okay. So x is defined to be a vector that starts from -1, increase by 0.1, and end at 5. Yes, you can check the size of the x to see it's a vector. Yes. So as a size 1 row, 61 columns. Okay, so it's a one-dimensional array with 61 elements. Okay. So return 0 y because you remember outside x equals 3, then it equals 0. So this range is outside because you see x go from -1 to 5. Yeah, so outside 3, then it just equals 0 by the definition of the function. So does it answer your question, Andrew? So everything is okay, right? Okay, so now we do another exercise. Okay, so now the exercise is a Fibonacci number. So everyone, at least you've seen Fibonacci number before, right? So otherwise you can look it up on Google. So Fibonacci numbers can be defined by this formula. So you just take the first two numbers are 1 and 1, okay? And then the next number is just the sum of the previous two numbers. Okay, so this is a very simple recurrent relation. And then it gives you the whole sequence of Fibonacci number. So now the exercise is try to write a MATLAB function, okay, to compute the Fibonacci number Fn for any given n. Okay, so the input is the n, okay, the integers. The output should be the Fibonacci number Fn. And we do it collaboratively. So we go to the screen. So if you go to Moodle, okay, and then you will see that so there's a link. I go to Moodle. Okay, so if you go to the link, there's a Fibonacci sequence. Okay, click on it. And now, you know, you write a MATLAB function to compute the Fibonacci number. So you can work on this one, and I copy your commands into my MATLAB window to see which one is the correct answer. Okay, but you know, I mean by hand, you know, the Fibonacci number should be like this. So 1, 1, 2, then 3, and 5, and 8, and 13. So you see, I mean the Fibonacci number, you just take the previous two numbers, you add them up, right? So the first one, so this one is n equal 1, n equal 2, n equal 3, n equal 4, n equal 5, n equal 6, n equals 7. Yeah, so just can you put MATLAB back up so we can see the syntax? Yes, but where do I put it? You can go to the lecture notes, you know, go to Moodle, go to lecture notes, because you screen. Okay, good point. Okay, let me try to do that. So let me share the whole screen here. And now you can see my screen and you can see the MATLAB here. Now this anonymous function, we can talk about it later. Yeah, so there's syntax like this. But essentially, you know, you have to use a for loops. Yeah, because the simplest way is to use a for loops. Okay, so if you use a for loops, you can. So maybe let me write a few lines first. Yeah. So maybe let me share a few lines. I think the syntax is very easy to remember, but let me share our first few lines and then you can fill up. So I can write function, yeah. Say, well, should not be capitalized, yeah, because Google just automatically correct me. But you can say fn. Okay. So this one cannot be a capital. So how do I? Okay, so fn, right? And you can say Fibo, and then the input is just n. Okay. And now you have to do something, right? So if n equal 1, if n equal, so remember in MATLAB, if you want to compare n with 1, then you have to say equal, okay? So a single equal just means that you assign it to be 1.
Sweet, it's a date.
Yeah. Then fn is 1.
Oh my God. Sorry, it's just me.
Somebody is watching a movie. So if n equal 1, then you know you set fn equal 1, and else if n equal 2, again I don't want capital here, then fn equal 1 as well. So else. Okay, so now the hard part is now what do you want to do when n is not equal 1 or 2? So how do you you are confused about the difference between equal and, well, equals mean that you compare whether n equal that value or not. But single equals mean that you assign the value into that variable. So remember, the variable is just an empty box, right? So it can take in values, 1, 2, or 3, whatever. So a single equal is like you push that value into the variables. Okay. And a double equals means that you compare the values of that. Okay, so this is a recursive solution. So recursive solution is correct, but you know it will take a lot of memory. It will take a lot of memory. So suppose you put in, say n is 200, then it will show you error sent out of memories. Okay, so recursive is a very elegant solution, but it's not recommended. Okay, so it's not recommended. So use a for loops. This is okay. I think the recursive is correct in terms of mathematics. But in practice, you know, try to avoid recursive because it will fill up the stack memory very quickly for this type of question. Okay, so you try another one without recursive, without recursive. So do another function but without recursive. So use the for loops. Iterative. Yeah. So how do you do that? How do you do that? So this one we call it a recursive solution. Okay, so recursive. It is correct. You can try this, but it's not recommended. Okay. So now how do you solve it? I mean, how do you define it? By just a for loops. So do it again, but without a recursive. Okay, so do something different. So use a for loops. Define vectors. Yeah, you can define vectors. You can define vectors, but then how do you compute a vector? Is a correct way to think about it. Okay. So initially you can set all the values equal 0, right? And the first two entries, well then zeros n. Why? Because we need only n entries. Okay. So then you say that, okay, so you say say vec1 is 1. So you say vec1 is 1. Yeah. And vec2 is 1. Okay. And then 4. Okay, so we can, well, then but at least you can say that this one is for the case n bigger than 3, right? So this one is if n equal 1, then fn is, well, I mean, you can use like before, if n equals 0, then fn is 0. And else if n equal 1, then fn equal 1. Else, okay, now you start using the vectors, yeah. Then now you use a for loops, yes. So the correct one should be a for loops. So the for loop should be well, if you say or, then you have to put a bracket like this. Okay. So for n equals something, for n, well, not for n, but say for k. Okay, k equal 3 to n. Yeah. Then you know, you say that vec k is vec k minus 1 plus vec k minus 2. You know, you go back to numbers before, right? And then that's it. And then in the end, then you just say that fn to be vec n. Okay, so that is another way without recursive. Okay, so you now let me try to cut and paste this and see whether it works. So can you do it by matrix diagonalization? So how do you do it by matrix diagonalization? I don't know. Show me how to do it. But at least this is one way to do it without the recursive. Okay. So let's see whether it works. Okay. So now let me cut and paste this and see whether it works on Matlab. So now let me go back to Matlab. But you get the idea, right? So, okay, so now let me forget about this one, forget about this one, forget about this one. Okay, so now let me cut and paste this. Okay, so maybe let me cut and paste the recursive first before I show you why you should not use recursive when you can avoid them. So let me copy this first, yeah. So maybe this one Fibo R. Yeah, R for recursive. Okay. So we save this. We save this, yeah. So I'd say we have to save it Fibo R, okay. So now clear everything. So Fibo R 1 give you 1 is correct, yeah. 2 is correct, yeah. 3 is correct, yeah. 4 is correct. So it's very elegant, okay. But now suppose you put in 100. See, now start doing something very, very slowly, okay, and it will report memory errors. Okay, so now let me copy the another function, yeah. So you see this is recursive. So recursive works for very small value of n, but when you put in, say n is 100, then it starts to fill up the stack memory. Okay, so now we put in another solution, yeah. So let me put in another solution. Where is another solution? Okay, so now this is another solution. So we have other solution as well, but you see now you can put in the, this is an iterative solution, yeah. So Fibo And so this one, strictly speaking, it should be inside. Okay. So now if I save this, so save Fibo vector, so Fibo V. Okay, so this one stands for Fibo V. Okay, so you see that the recursive is still working. So let me break it. So I don't want to wait anymore. So I break it. Okay, so very slow. Okay, so now try Vibo R. So sorry, Vibo V. Yeah, 1. So it's correct. 2 is correct. 3 is correct. 4 is correct. Yeah. 5 is correct. 100. See, very quick. See, the recursive one, somehow it run out of memory. Okay, so it takes, so whenever you can try to avoid recursive, then just please avoid recursive algorithm. Okay, otherwise it's not good for the memory. So any question about this? Okay, so now we talk a little bit about anonymous function. So sometimes, you know, you don't have to write a lengthy function like this. Sometimes you want to give some simple function in a single line. Then, you know, I mean, Matlab provide anonymous function for you to do that. So anonymous function means that the function doesn't need to have a name, right? So suppose I take f to be x, and I just squared. Okay. Okay, so what does it mean here? So f is defined to be whatever the input is x, you just square the input. Okay. So for example, if I take f of 2, then I got 4. Okay. So f of 4, then I got 16. Yeah. But what happened if I take x to be a vector? So x to be a vector. So if I take, say, 4, I mean, say 3 and 4, it's a vector. Then I got every entries square, 9 and 16. Okay. And you see that there's a dot here before the power. So the dot here allow every entries inside the vector x to be square. Okay. So if you forget the dot, then it doesn't text the vector. Okay, so suppose I do it again. I said f is x and then just x squared, right? Then I write f for 16. And if I write f vector 4, 5, then it's errors. There's errors because, you know, the definition doesn't allow you to type in a vectors. Yeah. So that is anonymous function, and an anonymous function can take in not one variable, but it can take in 2 variables or n variables. How many variables? It doesn't matter. You can define, say, x comma y to be x squared minus sine of y. Yeah. So then you can have f of 3, 4. Okay. So I just take in 2 variables. Sorry, take 2 input variables and give you the answer based on the formula. Okay. So the add here, these symbols, you know, you have to declare the input variables, and then the output just you know, the expression involves the input variables. Okay, it could be, you know, x, y, but it could be, say, a, b. Yeah, or any other thing, you know. So but you have to be consistent. If a, b here, then this one should be a and this one should be b. Okay, then f of 3, 4 is the same. Okay. Okay, so then what else? So MATLAB allows you to plot function as well. So can you scroll up to see Vivo? Yeah, here. No problem. So there's other way to implement this Fibonacci function as well. Okay. So you don't have to use a vector and you can use just two variables. I saw somebody in the Google page put in the third version about that. So you can check that. Okay. So, but there's many ways for you to implement this Fibonacci number. I think I have another one here. So Fibonacci. Let me open this. This is another implementation of Fibonacci. Okay, so this is another way to implement the Fibonacci number. So you can use a for loops and you can have the temporary variables P0 and P1. So P0 and P1 just store the two previous values of the Fibonacci number. Okay, and you reuse it again and again. Okay. So not sure why you run into the errors. Why? What errors do you have? What kind of errors do you have? What kind of errors? I mean, you have to read the errors. What does the error say? Okay, so I will post on the implementation into Moodle. Okay, so this is another implementation. Yeah. So you have to play around with on the version and see. Whenever you see the errors, you have to tell me what the errors is, and you have to. Yeah, but what does the error say? I mean, if you copy directly here, then it should work. Yeah. Yes, maybe post it in the forum. Okay, I can check the forum. I can answer. Okay, so maybe other people will have the same problem as well. Okay, so we go back to this anonymous function. So okay, so now one of the thing in MATLAB is you should be able to plot. You know, like now let me show you how to plot a function. So suppose I take f to be x squared, right? Okay. Now I want to plot a function f, so I define x to be linear space. So linear space stands for linear space. Okay. Say from -2 to +2 and 1000 elements. So you just look up what does linear space does, but essentially it just cut the -2 to 2, the intervals, into equally spaced, right? Intervals, so that you have 1000 elements in the vector x. Okay. And now you can plot x and f of x. Okay. So let me share my plot. Let me share the whole screen. Yeah. So you can see my screen. Yeah. So when I plot it, then MATLAB pops up another windows and it plot the parabola. Okay, so that is how you plot the function. It can plot two functions at the same time. Okay, so suppose I define g to be x sine of x squared. Okay, then I can plot x f of x, x g of x. Okay, so the two function here, the blue one is a sine function, and the red one is the sine x squared. Okay, and you can plot a surface as well. Okay, in MATLAB you can plot a surface. So let me plot a surface for you. So now so let me show you an example. You can plot a surface. So this one, the plot S here. Okay, so if you see, then it will cut the x direction, right, from -2 to 2 equally, and it has 20 elements in the vector x, and it do the same in the y direction, so it will cut -1 to 1 equally into 20 pieces, 20 elements in the vector y. Okay, and now it define a mesh. A mesh is just a rectangular grid. Okay, and then it will define the surface. So the surface is 1 minus x squared over 3 minus y squared over 5. And if I plot it, so you will see this is a surface. Okay, so the x, see the x run from -2 to 2. So this is the x direction. And the y direction from -1 to 1. Okay, and you can rotate the pictures. You can rotate the pictures, you know, like by clicking on this icon. Okay. You can zoom in as well. You can zoom in if you use this command. You can zoom in the pictures. Okay. So MATLAB has surface plot, has a so suppose I put in the sphere, then it plot the sphere for me. Oh, so this one maybe not a good pictures, maybe 10. Okay, so 10 is like it divide the sphere into 10 equally pieces on the y direction and 10 equally pieces on the x direction. So maybe say 50 is a bit better. Okay, so look like more the sphere there. And you can shade in it, make it look nicer. Okay. Okay, so now the last topic is reallocation. So you see that MATLAB is, you know, like automatically give you the memory when you try to define new variables. Okay, but actually, if you pre-allocate the memories, then it makes it a bit faster. Okay, so this is the example show you that there's a difference. So if you don't reallocate the memory, okay, it's still okay, it still computes the matrix. I mean the vector x, the matrix x, x for you, yeah. But if you pre-allocate the matrix before you compute it, yeah, then it will be a bit faster. So suppose I run this, and you will see the difference. So you see the first case is without pre-allocation, and I measure the CPU time. And with pre-allocation, then I measure the CPU time. And let me run it. And you see there's a difference here. So no pre-allocation, okay? Then eventually, I mean, for the small n, you don't see it, but when above 600, pre-allocation reduce the memory time. So sorry, reduce the CPU time. Yeah, so this one, you know, I mean, say 5,000. So that reduced half of the CPU time. So question. So pre-allocation is, okay, so pre-allocation is like you declare the memory, okay, before you use it. Okay, so suppose like in C or in C++, you cannot use a matrix before you pre-allocate the memory for that. Okay, but MATLAB handle it automatically, but it handle automatically with a cost. Okay, so the cost is it has to double the amount of computation to handle that for you. Yeah, and this example shows that. This example shows this, because you see here, you don't declare x, you don't declare the matrix x. So the MATLAB will try to assign the matrix x on the fly. Okay, so you see inside the loop, then it try to come up with the space to put the value of xij in. Okay, but in this second case, you declare x to be a matrix, n by n matrix already. So, and you set it to be 0. So then it has, you know, pre-allocated memory for that. Then it do the same. And you just compare the difference in the time, the CPU time. And you see that there's a time difference. Okay. So more or less, this is a very quick introduction about MATLAB, and you will see it again and again, you know, during the course, so you don't have to worry. And every time, you know, you can look up help. You can look up the lecture notes. Can you show Fibonacci V? Yeah, Fibonacci V here. You see it? So let me make it bigger, yeah. Okay, so is it big enough for you now? Okay, so do not worry that I cover MATLAB in 2 hours, because this one is just a quick introduction into MATLAB, and we see MATLAB again and again in the labs and the tutorials in the MATLAB Grader. So MATLAB Grader is a very, very interactive way to learn MATLAB. You type in the commands and you see the outputs, and if it fails, you try it again. Okay, so assignment 0, you can do it unlimited, many attempts. Will the rest of the lectures as much as coordinate this one? No, if you look at the lecture notes, you know, inside Moodle, you will see that there will be a lot of theory after this. Okay, so the first the first chapter is about coding, but after that we will study some theory. Okay. Okay, so now you have to check your email. Okay, so if you don't receive the email, so please send me an email. Then please check your UNSW email to see whether you receive something like this. You don't go to MATLAB Radar directly, okay? So you have to check your email to see something like, let me try to show you the email look like this. Okay, so you got it, right? So just check your email, and from your email, you click on the link and you get into MATLAB Radar. So I don't have a sample here, but so maybe let me try to find a sample that I post on Moodle. Okay, but you found it. Okay, that's good. So any other question? Yes, assignment 0 is just self-paced learning. Yes. No marks with assignment 0. No. So assignment 0 is just for you to learn MATLAB interactively. Yes. Do we have any other weekly homework? No. Just a lab, yes. But the lab, there's no marks associated with the lab. Okay. So the lab question is available online. I mean, inside Moodle. So if you go to Moodle, you will see it. So yes, there are tutorials as well. Yes. So if you go to Moodle, you will see. Let me share Moodle again. Where is my Moodle? Does tutorial lab homework count for marks? No. So let me show you the outlines, the course outlines. So please check the assessment there. Yeah. So all the loops apply through recursion. No, recursive doesn't use the loops. No, it just calls the function again and again. Okay, so recursive use a different mechanism. So the Moodle page is here, yeah. And you see that the lab, if you look at the course outline, you see that the marks come from assignments and tests, yes. And the final, yes. Okay, so you can check the announcement here. You see that I thought I put announcement here, then it's gone. Here already, yeah. You see, so the assessment is 2 short assignments. So assignment 0 doesn't count, but assignment 1 and 2 are 1.5% each. And the lab test will be 12%, you know, and then everything will be done on MATLAB Radar. So then there's another theoretical test, week 5, using Mobius, the new name for Maple TA. Okay, and there's a group project when assignment 1 and 2 are due. Good point. I think I will post it. I think it will be something like week 3 and week 8. But let me double check. Let me double check, and I will announce the due date for assignment 1 and assignment 2, but not this week. No, sorry, not Maple. Maple TA is not Maple. Okay, so Maple TA, the new name is Mobius, and it's just a platform for you to do the interactive test. Okay, so we are not doing Maple in this course. And okay, but you can ask the question is why we use MATLAB rather than Maple. Maple TA, Maple is just a symbolic computation. Okay, but in scientific calculation, many times scientific calculation is too slow. Yes, you use Maple in 1141 and 1241 is for symbolic calculation. So suppose you want to find the integrals, okay? you want a closed form. But now we want to do everything numerically, okay? Then we have to use MATLAB. So MATLAB is more popular in engineering. Okay, symbolic calculation is only popular in physics. Yeah. So does it answer your question? Okay, I think we have to stop now because it's 3 o'clock already. So I have to go to another lectures. Yeah. So we stop here. Yeah. So any question, please post on the forum, and hopefully I check it every day. I can answer it. Okay. So if you haven't got MATLAB Trader email, please email me as soon as possible. Okay. Okay. So thank you. Thank you. So I stop now. Yeah.